Welcome everyone to the program. Today is a very exciting day because we are starting a new series. Actually, it's the first of two new series that we're going to be doing, and you could tell by the title it's called Government Watch. The second series we're going to be starting up is something called Media Watch. And so what are we going to do with this whole thing? Basically, I am going to dig into some decision that the government is about to make. And when I say the government, I'm talking about the United States of America. Either some major change they're looking to make, a new law they're looking to pass, or some sort of decision that's going to impact you in a great way. And we will share with you what it is and give you some of the ins and outs of it and my personal opinion. And by the end of the episode, I am going to give the government a score on the direction they're going. So let's start this thing off. The first episode of Government Watch, vaccine passports. This is a legitimately serious issue. It is being discussed all across the world by different governments, including China, the UK, and the United States of America. So what's the big deal with this vaccine passport? I mean, what is it all about? Basically, you're going to have to prove that you have received a vaccine against COVID-19. And if you cannot prove it, either digitally using your phone or some sort of a card that's filled out, it will restrict some of your rights, like the right to fly in a plane or perhaps freely travel between states or even enter a government facility, perhaps a police station, courthouse, fire station, a school building, and maybe even private organizations would get on board too. This could go fairly far. I mean, some countries like China are going to basically implement this. The UK said they weren't, but it looks like they're looking into it now. So what I'm going to do is share with you what the US government stance is on this and give them a score. But what I'm going to do, and I got my notes right here, is I'm going to try and convince you that this is a terrible thing. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to first try to convince the liberals or the Democrats who listen the reasons why I think ideologically you should be against this. And then I'm going to try to convince the conservatives. And by doing so, I hope to bring everyone together on the same page. So let's go ahead and do this. So if you're a liberal, if you identify as a liberal or a Democrat, the reason you should be against this is, number one, it's going to disproportionately affect low income and low socioeconomic status individuals, meaning the people who earn the least amount of money are going to have the least amount of access to vaccines and the least amount of access to getting digital identification or cards proving that they've gotten the vaccine. So you are going to prevent their freedoms and liberties more than those who can afford these things or have the ability to ensure that they get the vaccine and the right identification. The number two reason why you should be against this if you're a liberal is it will disproportionately affect immigrants, whether they are legal or illegal. Illegal immigrants, of course, are not going to get this, so this is going to affect them in a great way. I mean, the last thing an illegal immigrant is going to want to do is go to any authority anywhere and have any identification or some sort of a record of what they're doing. And even if they're a legal immigrants in the United States of America do not trust authorities. They don't trust the medical authorities, the police authorities. They're not going to trust medical records. So this will disproportionately affect immigrants, both legal and illegal alike, and prevent them from having the basic freedoms and liberties that they should, of course, have. If you're a liberal, the third reason you should not agree with this is those who have already gotten COVID-19. See, the medical science has shown that anyone who has gotten COVID-19, they have antibodies. And there's many medical professionals, and I'm not talking about quacks. I'm talking about legitimate doctors who have even gotten COVID-19. And they say once they get it, the antibodies are there and you're good to go. You don't need a vaccine. And matter of fact, some individuals, if they do get a vaccine, it will produce a response in their body that will be an overreaction and be harmful to them. And what this vaccine passport will tell them is basically, it doesn't matter if it's going to be harmful to you. You're going to still have to get this if you want to be able to travel freely or go into certain places. And that's not okay. And there's a lot of professional doctors who are legitimate doctors who are revealing this information. And there might be 1 million people or more who would be impacted in this way. In addition, a fourth reason why, if you're a liberal, you should not agree with this. There's many people who react badly to vaccines, or they have some sort of a medical condition in which they can't get a vaccine. And it's going to make it harder for these individuals. They're going to have to go through some process of proving that in order to get the freedoms and liberties that they deserve. And the fifth reason why you should disagree with this, if you're a liberal, is Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade, everyone knows, is that court decision that ultimately gave women the right to have abortions, depending on the trimester that they're in the certain situations that they're in. But what a lot of people don't realize is it gave a lot of medical protections as well, as far as your medical freedoms and your rights to either not do or do something. So there is actually some protection against the government from doing this through Roe v. Wade and through a connection to the 14th Amendment. So if you're pro Roe v. Wade, then you should also come to the conclusion to accept the medical protections you would have under Roe v. Wade, which would prevent somebody from basically telling you what you can do or cannot do to your own body. So for those 5 reasons, if you're a liberal, you should be totally against this. Now, if you're a conservative, you're probably already against this because you don't trust the government. You don't want the government telling you what to do. So I probably don't have to convince you to be against this, but here's some reasons why. Number one, it's a close violation of HIPAA. Now, it might not be entirely a violation of HIPAA. HIPAA is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act that was passed in 1996, and basically it provides protections against medical information being provided out or disclosed. Now, this is without the patient's approval, so you cannot disclose any information medically without a patient approving it, but basically the government is going to force you to give that disclosure agreement. And so this is very close to violating HIPAA. And because the government's going to force you to disclose it, it's very close to violating either the First Amendment or the 14th Amendment, or it may entirely actually violate the First Amendment or the 14th Amendment. And the final reason why is because this gives the government way too much authority over the citizen in restricting their freedoms and liberties. It probably violates the Constitution. And if you're a conservative, the last thing you want to do is give the government that sort of right. If I did not convince you through these reasons, I would love to know how. In the comment section below, if you're like, Vin, I'm a liberal, I still don't agree with you, I think we should do it. Even after I went through all the reasons why, I would love to see that. So I'm going to give the government a score here because they are reacting to this, United States government. This is what the United States government is saying. This quote is directly from the White House press secretary, and this is supposed to be exactly what Joe Biden is thinking and the White House is thinking. She said this: the government is not now, nor will we ever be supporting a system that requires Americans to carry a credential. She continued on and said there will be no federal vaccination database and no federal mandate requiring everyone to obtain a single vaccination credential. So basically, the United States government is saying they are not going to do this. By no uncertain terms, it is not going to happen, which obviously is a good thing. Now, the UK also made that statement too, and now it looks like they're starting to research into possibly doing it. Of course, we know those more authoritative governments that are out there are probably just going to institute it because that's what authoritative governments do. So the White House is saying they're not going to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and give them a score. 0 out of 10. How is the United States government handling this decision, which is very serious? Vaccine passports. I am giving them a 7.9, which is a very good score. I know this is only the first episode of Government Watch, but not many of the scores are going to be that high unless the government does something amazing. So why am I giving them this score? Why not something a little bit higher? Well, I like obviously the fact that the White House press secretary is saying that they're against this, but I think there's some missed opportunities here because in the United States of America, every once in a while, something rolls through where the American citizens can be united together in a way where we once again learn about not only our culture, but our freedoms and our liberties, about the Constitution and our rights and how those rights are going to be upheld. And I feel like this is an opportunity for the government to say, no, not only are we not going to do this, but this is a complete violation of our citizens' rights. And as the government of the United States, we will never violate our citizens' rights. They are protected by the First Amendment. They are protected by the 14th Amendment. They are protected by HIPAA laws. In fact, actually, there's some protection against this, like I said, from Roe v. Wade. And this was an opportunity, I think, for the White House and our government to educate the American citizens on their freedoms and their liberties, not just to say no, but to go beyond saying no. So I think there was a missed opportunity there, but I'm glad that the government is saying this, but we got to keep a watch on them because what happens? The government says a lot of things, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to follow through with it. We will keep a watch on them. That's right, a government watch on them. And if they change their tune, we will let you know. and we'll update our score. But right now, 7.9. If you enjoyed this episode, let me know. We're going to keep our eyes on them. And there's also going to be an episode coming out shortly called Media Watch, something I think the media is doing and the way they're approaching something. I'm not going to share with you what it is, but when you see the episode come out, it's the next one. I think you're going to be like, that's a true fact right there. The media is doing that. Again, no matter what side of the aisle stand on, I think you're going to agree with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you for coming along with me. As always, I will catch you next time.